Hey everyone, I can't tell you how many times I've heard, when I retired, no one told me to expect this. Now, what usually follows is one of 5 things that retirees have to face, but no one really talks about. So in today's video, we're going to cover all 5 of these. So if you're getting ready to walk into retirement, I think this will help you avoid getting caught off guard and be much better prepared. Now, the last one is especially important to know about, and it's the one that I hear most often. And if you're not ready, this one will hit you hard. Now, real quick, before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet and turn notifications on, please do. In the next week or so, I'm going to be releasing 2 new calculators that will be completely free to use and highly valuable. And when I do this, I'm going to announce them here. So if you're subscribed and you have those notifications on, you're going to know about them first. Also, down in the comments, as we're covering the 5 things that no one tells you about retirement, I want to hear what you think. If you're already retired, let me know if one of these or something else hit you that you didn't expect when you retired. Now, the first thing that no one talks about is fairly simple. You're going to feel differently about stock market fluctuation. I think it's important to go ahead and brace yourself for a fundamental change in how you perceive and react to the stock market's ups and downs. While you're working, the stock market fluctuations tend to just be background noise. They're just part of a long-term investment strategy where time is your friend in smoothing out the highs and lows. But once you retire, the scenario changes dramatically. You're no longer held up by the flotation device of a regular paycheck, so you become much more dependent on your savings and investments for your day-to-day living expenses. This transition that you make from saving money to taking money out of your investment accounts makes market volatility much more than a mere inconvenience. It can seem like a direct threat to your financial security. And when savings that you've carefully built over the years now needs to last throughout your retirement, every market decline can feel like a crisis and could trigger your instinctive anxiety about the sustainability of your savings. And making this even worse is the increased free time that you're going to have in retirement. With more free hours in the day, there's a tendency to pay closer attention to the news, which, as you know, often focuses on the negative. And this constant bombardment of unsettling news can skew your perception, which will ultimately lead to an overly pessimistic view of your investments and the stock market in general. I can tell you that I've personally seen people that got a year or 2 into retirement and just couldn't take the ups and downs of the market when they'd been perfectly fine with it for all of those many years leading up to retirement. And unfortunately, they usually made the decision to exit the market at the worst possible time. So before you retire, or at least before you start taking distributions from your savings, you need to make a decision about how much risk you're willing to take in your investment accounts. And then once you make that decision, you need to stick with it. Now, this is the topic that I plan to cover in a future video because I do have some very specific thoughts on determining your investment allocation and your risk tolerance that doesn't necessarily line up with the way others approach this. But once you understand that risk tolerance and now you're prepared for this shift of how you're going to likely view stock market volatility, you can help ensure that your retirement years are marked by financial stability and peace of mind rather than the unnecessary anxiety and uncertainty. The second thing people didn't expect is that not having a purpose may leave you bored. You know, one of the unexpected challenges is the loss of professional identity and daily routines. This change can create a big void in your life, leading to feelings of aimlessness and boredom. The structure and sense of accomplishment that a career provides are no longer there, and the days that were once filled with tasks and deadlines now stretch out with unlimited free time, and this newfound freedom, while it's appealing at first, can quickly become overwhelming. Now, the key to navigating this transition successfully lies in finding new purposes that are both fulfilling and engaging. It's really important for retirees to explore activities that not only occupy their time, but provide a sense of achievement and satisfaction. This could be hobbies that were put on the sidelines when you were busy working, or maybe it's volunteering or even part-time work. All of these offer more than just a way to pass time. They stimulate creativity, engage the mind, and they can lead to what's really important, that sense of purpose. That's going to be crucial at some point after you retire. Now, the third thing is that your family relationships could shift in a negative way. You know, the past few years, we've all heard about the rising trend of this gray divorce. This term was coined to describe some of the data identified in the journals of gerontology, and that's that while the overall divorce rate has been declining, the rate among the gray-haired demographic, those over 50, has been on the rise. This group now accounts for a quarter of all divorces, and 1 in 10 of those individuals are over the age of 65. An example of this that we've seen is when one spouse retires and the other continues to work. When that happens, sometimes there's unspoken expectations about household responsibilities. The spouse that's still working might think that the retired spouse is going to take on more tasks such as the house cleaning, maybe some cooking, or taking care of those long deferred home maintenance items that we all have. And then on the other hand, the spouse that's retired may be looking forward to a period of relaxation, viewing at least the first part of retirement as an extended vacation and not just jumping into a new job at home. Now, I've seen this on more than one occasion lead to frustration and misunderstanding. So it's important to recognize that retirement is a significant lifestyle change for both spouses, and adjusting to it is a gradual process that requires patience and understanding from both parties. Another significant shift is the amount of time spouses spend together. While they may have been accustomed to just spending a few hours together in the evenings during their working years, now retirement, if they've both retired at the same time especially, it can mean that they're together almost all day. And this sudden increase in this shared time can strain a relationship if it's not managed well. So we have found that couples often do best when they strike a balance between shared activities and individual pursuits that allow each of them their own space and freedom to explore their own personal interest. And then in addition to the spousal relationships, there's also the dynamics with other family members, such as adult children or elderly parents. Sometimes there's new expectations now that you've retired. The thought is, you've got all this free time. Well, now you can come take care of me, or you can come take care of the grandchildren. And for some people, these are roles that they have no interest in taking on. And the fourth thing that not many people talk about is that your circle of friends may change. As you transition out of the workforce, the daily interactions and friendships built in the workplace often start to diminish. And let's face it, many of us form substantial parts of our social lives around our jobs. Colleagues often become friends, and the workplace provides a built-in community of peers with whom we share a significant portion of our time. But when you retire, the frequency of these interactions naturally decreases, and the common ground that once fueled these relationships may no longer exist. So this can lead to a sense of loss or loneliness for new retirees, and now you have to get your social fulfillment outside of the workplace. So before you retire, start thinking through your future social circles. What you'll likely find is that it takes time and effort to develop these friendships, especially when your social skills may have rusted a bit due to years of fixed work routines and established social circles. So it may require stepping out of your comfort zone a bit, being open to some new experiences, and sometimes learning some new social skills. But you also shouldn't overlook the value of nurturing existing friendships and family relationships. These connections can provide a really strong foundation for the next phase of your social life. So strengthening the bonds with family, old friends, And maybe those people who are just casual acquaintances can fill in that social gap left by departing from the workforce. And the fifth and final thing is that spending your retirement savings will be scary. This is a big enough issue that I plan to release a video about this topic all by itself. In the thousands of conversations I've had throughout the years with recent retirees, almost all of them have told me that it was not an easy switch to move from saving to spending, from that accumulation to decumulation. And this is also what the data is showing us as well. A BlackRock study found that on average, across all wealth levels, most current retirees still have 80% of their pre-retirement savings after almost 2 decades in retirement. So they've been retired for 20 years and still have 80% of what they started with. And more than 1/3 of current retirees actually grew their assets. Now, there's a few reasons that retirees aren't spending their money. Some people don't spend so they can leave it to their kids, but that's a small minority. Then there's some who have legitimate psychological disorders, but that's even a smaller minority. The biggest reason people do this is based on a very real, rational fear, and that's the fear of running out of money. You can't predict how long you'll live, how your investments will perform over 20 or 30 years, or whether you'll be hit by big medical or long-term care cost. And now that the income is stopped, it can trigger a very instinctive anxiety and be paralyzing. The simple truth is that if you've been diligent about saving for retirement for the past few decades, there's just no easy switch that you can flip that turns on your ability to start spending what you've saved with no worries. You're likely just wired to save. But thankfully, there is an easy cure for this one, and it's to get a written retirement income plan that gives you clarity and confidence. When you see that you're spending for the rest of your life on paper using conservative rates of returns, and you can see that you're not going to run out of money, you can move into retirement with confidence. And then when you're doing that planning is also the time you need to ask questions like, should I be thinking about Roth conversions? How can I decrease the taxes I'm going to pay in retirement? What's the most optimal sequence to withdraw my savings that I have? And then how do I coordinate my Social Security and the dates that I file for that with all of the other savings that I have? These questions are common and legitimate, and they're questions that need to be answered before you move too far down the road of retirement. And we can help you with our big picture retirement roadmap plan. We can give you clarity and confidence that you've made the best choices for this next phase of your life. And if you want to have a conversation, I'm going to put a link down below where you can get in touch with me, my team. Thanks so much for watching.